In 1784, a festival was organised in London to celebrate the music of George Frederick Handel 25 years after his death. Most of the performances took place in Westminster Abbey. Here is an account of it by Dr. Charles Burney, the eminent music historian, who was there for every one of them. In his introduction, he listed all the historic records since the 16th century which he had found of big orchestras and choruses, including an outdoor opera with 100 singers on stage, and concludes by saying that at the time he was writing, it was not uncommon to hear orchestras of 200 or 300 musicians in Italy, but that this event in London must have been the biggest ever, with a total of 500 performers, vocal and instrumental. Some people worried that the band would be so loud that whoever heard this performance would never hear again. However, the sound of these multiplied tones arrived as mild and benign at the ears of the audience as they could from the feeble efforts of a few violins in a common concert room. Others feared that from the immense size of the building, no single voice had the least chance of being heard by those who had places remote from the orchestra. But luckily this was so far from being true that not a vocal breathing, however feeble by nature or softened by art, was inaudible in any part of the immense space through which it diffused itself in all directions. The happy construction of Westminster Abbey for cherishing and preserving musical tones by a gentle augmentation without echo or repetition was demonstrated by no part of the performance more clearly than in that of Miss Abrams, whose voice, though sweet and of a good quality, is not regarded as theatrical, but such as the Italians denominate voce di camera. Yet her voice was rendered more audible in every part of that immense building than it has ever been in any concert room in London. Voce di camera means a chamber voice, in other words, a voice suitable for singing in small rooms, as opposed to a theatrical voice big enough for the opera stage. The training of chamber singers and opera singers differed in many ways, one of those obviously being that if you're regularly singing in big venues with a big orchestra, you need to learn to project. But apparently the acoustics of Westminster Abbey are so amazing that you should be able to hear even a tiny voice clearly in any part of it. You can read this whole book for free on archive.org. There is so much in it on the tradition of performing Handel's music thanks to his enduring popularity in Britain, and details on the performances and performers on this occasion. It's a fascinating read. I highly recommend it.